It was just another morning in the city, golden sunlight streaming through the tall glass windows of Eminence Corporation, one of the country's leading firms. The usual hum of keyboards and distant ringing of phones filled the air. Among the hundreds of employees sat Maya Thompson, a quiet and hard-working young woman in the finance department. She wasn't extraordinary in appearance, but there was something deeply compelling about her. The calm strength in her eyes, the way she carried herself despite the weight of her private battles. Maya had been working at the company for nearly 2 years, always punctual, always polite, always efficient. Her colleagues respected her professionalism, but few knew her story, that behind her composed smile, she was fighting a silent war. Her mother had been ill for months, and the medical bills were piling up. Every night, after long hours at the office, she'd go home, make soup for her mother, and spend hours sitting beside her bed, praying for a miracle. Money had become tight. The insurance barely covered anything. And as much as she wanted to ask for help, her pride wouldn't let her. She believed she could manage, until one Monday morning when everything changed. That day, her boss, Mr. Adrian Cole, the company's CEO, had requested a quarterly financial report from her. Adrian was a man known for his precision and perfection. Young, brilliant, and intimidatingly handsome, he had built the company from scratch. Most employees found him unapproachable, the kind of leader who spoke few words but whose presence filled an entire room. Maya had always admired his drive, though she'd never spoken to him beyond formal meetings. That morning, exhausted after another sleepless night at the hospital, she rushed to complete his report. Her mind was foggy, her heart heavy. When the email pinged, "Report due 9 a.m., she attached what she thought was the report file and hit send. Moments later, as she sipped her coffee, she froze. Her heart skipped a beat. The file name. It wasn't the report. It was her mother's medical bill. A detailed statement from the hospital showing unpaid balances, treatments, and costs that stretched beyond what she could imagine paying. Panic rushed through her veins. She immediately tried to recall the email, but it was too late. The system confirmed. Message delivered to Adrian Cole. Her hands trembled. Her throat went dry. What would he think? Would he see it as unprofessional? Would she lose her job? Minutes ticked by like hours. Then her phone buzzed. It was an email notification. From Adrian Cole. Subject, "Please come to my office." Her stomach dropped. She stood, adjusting her cardigan, trying to steady her breath. As she walked through the quiet hallway toward his office, she felt every pair of eyes following her. Inside, the air was cool, still, and filled with a quiet tension. Adrian was standing by the window when she entered, his back straight, his hands clasped loosely. He turned slowly, his sharp eyes softening when he saw her. "Maya," he said calmly, "take a seat." She sat down, trying to find her voice. "Sir, I'm so sorry," she blurted out. I sent the wrong file. It was a mistake. I'll send the correct report right away." Adrian raised a hand, stopping her. "I know it was a mistake. I opened the file by accident." Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She couldn't meet his gaze. "I understand, sir. I truly apologize. It won't happen again." But Adrian didn't seem angry. Instead, his voice softened. "Is your mother all right?" That simple question pierced through the wall she'd built around her emotions. Her lips trembled. She blinked rapidly, trying to hold back tears. She's been unwell for a while. It's just been a bit hard lately," she whispered. Adrian studied her for a moment. The fatigue in her eyes, the sadness behind her composure. Then, with quiet authority, he said, "You don't have to apologize for struggling, Maya." She didn't know what to say. She simply nodded, clutching her hands together on her lap. He continued, "You've been one of the most consistent employees in this department. I've noticed your work, even if I haven't said it before. You've handled projects most wouldn't take without complaining once. You've earned respect and help when you need it." She opened her mouth to respond, but he was already turning toward his desk. He picked up his phone, dialed a number, and said, "Transfer the funds from the corporate welfare account to the hospital listed in the file. Full amount." Maya's breath caught. "Sir, please, no, you can't." He looked at her, expression firm yet kind. "It's already done." Tears welled in her eyes. "Why would you do that for me?" He smiled faintly. "Because sometimes people who give everything to others forget they deserve something too. Consider it my way of saying thank you." She couldn't stop the tears anymore. "I don't know how to repay you." "You already have," he said softly, "through your loyalty and hard work." That moment stayed frozen in her memory. The sunlight spilling through the glass, his calm tone, and the way her heart filled with both gratitude and disbelief. Days passed, and Maya's life began to change. With the medical bills cleared, she could focus on her mother's recovery. The company also assigned her fewer overtime hours, and she finally began to sleep properly again. Her mother's health improved steadily, and for the first time in months, Maya felt a sense of peace. But something else had changed too. Adrian began stopping by her department more often. At first, it was just work-related, but soon it became small moments, a brief chat by the elevator, a shared coffee during late meetings, an unspoken warmth in his gaze. Maya tried to ignore what her heart was beginning to feel. He was her CEO. She was just an employee. But the way he looked at her, gentle, curious, protective, made it impossible to deny. One evening, as the office emptied out and the golden sunset painted the sky, Adrian approached her desk. "Still working?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Just finishing the budget summary." He leaned against her desk, arms crossed. "You don't always have to be the last one here." "I guess I've just gotten used to it." He watched her for a moment, then said quietly, "You don't have to carry everything alone, Maya." Her heart skipped. There was a sincerity in his tone that reached deep into her. She looked up, meeting his eyes. "I'm trying," she whispered. "I know," he said softly, "but sometimes letting someone stand beside you makes the road easier." The silence between them grew tender. She didn't know how long they stayed that way, two people, bound by something neither could name, yet both could feel. Weeks turned into months. Their bond deepened. Maya found herself smiling again, laughing even, something she hadn't done in a long time. Adrian's presence became her quiet strength, steady, calm, reassuring. Then one morning, a new message appeared in her inbox. From Adrian Cole. Subject, lunch. She smiled for the first time in ages, a real, unguarded smile. That lunch became the first of many. Conversations that began with work drifted into life, dreams, and memories. She learned that Adrian had grown up poor, raised by a single mother who had worked 3 jobs to give him a better life. Maybe that was why her struggle had touched him so deeply. Months later, as spring arrived, her mother fully recovered. And one day, as she stood by the same office window where everything had begun, Adrian joined her, his voice quiet but steady. "Do you know what I realized?" he asked. "What?" she said, smiling. "That sometimes life sends us mistakes on purpose, so we end up sending our hearts to the right person." Her eyes softened. "You mean the wrong file?" He smiled. "The right one, actually. It brought you to me." And just like that, what began as an accidental email became the start of something beautiful, a connection born from compassion, strengthened by trust, and destined to last far beyond the walls of the office. because sometimes the universe doesn't make mistakes. It just finds extraordinary ways to lead two souls toward each other.